Hello listener, if you're hearing this, you've probably driven past a billboard, one of those massive highway signs advertising cars, insurance, fast food. You glance at them for a second while driving, never thinking about the structure itself, never thinking about the platform behind the sign where maintenance workers stand, never thinking about what it would be like to live on that platform, to spend 160 days on a piece of metal 10 feet by 15 feet, suspended 150 feet in the air, exposed to sun and wind and rain and cold, with nothing but empty air between you and the ground. If you're new here, subscribe and comment where you're listening from. This story is about surviving in the most exposed, most vulnerable, most isolated place I could have chosen during the zombie apocalypse, about watching the world end from 150 feet up, about slowly starving to death while sitting on enough space to park a car, about learning that height doesn't protect you, it just gives you a better view of how fucked you are. My name is Marcus Webb, and before the world caught fire and died screaming, I was a billboard maintenance technician for Outfront Media. We owned and maintained thousands of billboards across Southern California. My job was to climb these massive structures, some reaching 150 to 200 feet tall along highways, and maintain them, change the advertisements, fix the lights, repair weather damage, check the structural integrity, make sure these giant signs didn't fall onto the freeway and kill someone. It was good work, paid $68,000 a year with benefits, required specialized training. You needed to be comfortable working at height, needed climbing certification, needed to understand the engineering of these structures. Most people can't handle it. The height, the exposure, the wind that hits you at 150 feet feels twice as strong as ground level. The platforms behind the billboards are just metal mesh walkways. You can see straight through to the ground below. One wrong step, one moment of vertigo, one strong gust of wind, and you fall 150 feet to your death. I'd been doing it for 9 years, started at age 24, worked my way up from ground crew to climber to lead technician. I was comfortable at height, loved it actually, loved being above the city, loved the view, loved the solitude when you're 150 feet up. Nobody bothers you, it's just you and the wind and the sky. That comfort with height saved my life during the outbreak, and trapped me in a nightmare that lasted 160 days. The outbreak hit Los Angeles on June 3, 2024, a Monday. I was working a routine maintenance job on one of our largest billboards, a massive double-sided structure positioned above Interstate 5 in downtown LA. The billboard was 150 feet tall, positioned to be visible to both northbound and southbound traffic. The platform behind the sign was standard size, 10 feet wide by 15 feet long. Steel mesh construction, safety rails on all sides, accessed by a vertical ladder built into the support structure. I'd climbed up around 0900 hours. The job was simple: replace burned out LED panels on the north-facing sign. Should take maybe 4 hours. I'd be down by 1300, back at the yard by 1400, done for the day. I was halfway through the job around 1100 hours when I heard the sirens. Not unusual in downtown LA, but these were different. More sirens than normal, coming from every direction, and they didn't stop. Just kept going. More and more of them. I looked down at the freeway. Traffic was stopped. Completely stopped. Not normal LA traffic that still moves. Slowly. This was gridlock. Cars not moving at all, and I could see people getting out of their cars, running, screaming. Then I saw why. I saw them, the infected, moving through the stopped traffic like predators through a herd, attacking people, dragging them from cars. The violence was overwhelming. Immediate. Brutal. I pulled out my phone, tried calling the yard. No answer. Tried calling my supervisor. No answer. Checked news apps. Emergency alerts popping up. Shelter in place. Violent outbreak in progress. Avoid all contact with affected individuals. I looked down at the freeway. The infected were everywhere now. Hundreds of them. Maybe thousands. The cars were abandoned. People were running, fleeing, getting caught. I watched people die. Watched them get torn apart. Watched the infection spread in real time 150 feet below me. And I realized I was trapped. I couldn't climb down. The ladder was exposed, no protection. If infected saw me climbing down, they'd wait at the bottom. I'd be dead within seconds of reaching the ground. But up here, on this platform, I was safe. Infected can't climb ladders. The vertical ladder required coordination, planning, motor control. The infected had none of that. Just aggression and the ability to walk, run, attack. They couldn't climb. I was safe. Temporarily, as long as I stayed up here. I had no idea I'd be staying for 160 days. Had no idea this platform would become my entire world. Had no idea I'd slowly starve to death while sitting on 150 square feet of metal mesh 150 feet above an apocalypse. I took inventory of what I had. My work equipment, tool belt with basic tools, wrenches, screwdrivers, wire cutters, pliers, safety harness, and rope, 50 feet of climbing rope work gloves, safety glasses, hard hat, LED headlamp, battery-powered walkie-talkie dead, nobody responding, cell phone dying battery, no signal soon, water bottle 16 ounces, half-full lunch sandwich, apple, granola bar, small bag of chips, that's it, that's all I had, food for one meal, water for maybe one day. No shelter, no blankets, no supplies beyond basic tools. And I was 150 feet in the air on a platform the size of a small bedroom. I watched the city fall throughout the day, watched the infection spread, watched buildings burn, watched helicopters crash, watched the systematic collapse of civilization in real time from the best seat in the house. By sunset on day 1, the freeway below me was a graveyard. Abandoned cars stretching for miles, bodies everywhere, and infected wandering between the vehicles. Hundreds of them, maybe more. All I had to do was look down and I could see them, moving, hunting, existing in the new world where they were apex predators. Night fell. I had no shelter. The platform was completely exposed. I could feel the temperature drop. June in LA warm during the day, but the nights could get cool. I was wearing work clothes, jeans, work boots, t-shirt, light jacket. Not enough for sleeping outside. Not enough for 160 nights outside. I tried to sleep, couldn't. The platform was metal, mesh could see straight through to the ground 150 feet below. I could see the infected down there, could hear them, the sounds carried up, groaning, movement, the ambient noise of a dead city, and the wind. At 150 feet, the wind was constant, even gentle winds felt strong. The platform swayed slightly. Billboards are designed with some flex to handle wind loads, but feeling it sway in the darkness, knowing I was suspended 150 feet up on a swaying piece of metal, I couldn't sleep. Too afraid I'd roll over, roll off, fall. I tied myself to the safety rail with my rope, created a makeshift harness. Now if I rolled, I wouldn't fall, but I still couldn't sleep. Too uncomfortable, too cold, too afraid. Day 2 started with sunrise. The sun hit me directly, no shade up here, no protection. The platform heated up immediately. Metal conducts heat. By 0900, it was uncomfortable. By 1100 it was hot. By 1300 the metal was burning to touch. I had to take off my shirt, use it as a sunshade, draped it over the safety rail to create minimal shade, sat under it, but it wasn't enough. The sun was relentless. I could feel my skin burning, my lips cracking, my body I finished my water by 1000 hours, tried to ration it, but the heat made me desperate. Drank it all. Now I had no water, and no way to get more. By evening of day 2 I was severely dehydrated. Dizzy, nauseous, weak. I was going to die of thirst within days if I didn't find water. I looked at my situation. I was on a billboard. Billboards are designed to handle rainwater, runs off, doesn't collect. But the platform had edges. Small lips where the metal mesh met the support frame. Maybe, if it rained, water would collect there. I could drink from those small pools. I prayed for rain in LA in June, the driest time of year. Praying for rain. Day 3, no rain. I was dying. My tongue was swollen, my urine was dark brown, what little I could produce. My skin was tight, my joints ached. Severe dehydration was shutting down my organs. I was going to die on day 3 or 4. That's how long humans survive without water. 3 to 4 days. Day 4, around 1400 hours. Clouds rolled in. Dark clouds. Storm clouds. A freak June storm, rare for LA but not impossible. It started raining around 1600 hours. I stood in the rain with my mouth open. Let it pour directly into my mouth. It tasted like heaven, like life. The platform collected water in small pools along the edges, like I'd hoped. I used my hard hat as a collection vessel, filled it with rainwater, drank directly from it. Must have consumed 2 liters in the first hour. The storm lasted 3 hours. By the time it stopped, I'd collected maybe 5 liters of water total in my hard hat and water bottle. Enough to survive another week if I was careful. I'd survived day 4, barely, and I'd learned an important lesson. My survival depended on rain, on whether I couldn't control or predict. If it didn't rain again soon, I'd die of thirst. Simple as that. Day 7, 1 week on the billboard. I finished my food. The sandwich had gone bad on day 2 in the heat. I'd eaten it anyway. Risk of food poisoning better than starvation. The apple, granola bar, and chips I'd rationed carefully, 1 small portion per day. But now it was gone. All of it. I had no food, and no way to get more. I was 150 feet in the air. There were no animals up here. No plants, no insects, even too high, too exposed. Just me and metal and air and a very long fall to the ground where infected waited. I was going to starve. slowly, over weeks or months. Sitting on this platform with a perfect view of the apocalypse, slowly consuming my own body until there was nothing left and I died. The human body can survive a surprisingly long time without food. With water, you can last 30 to 40 days before organ failure. Some people have survived longer. Hunger strikers, famine victims, people lost in wilderness. The body consumes itself, fat first, then muscle, then organs. You slowly waste away until critical systems fail and you die. I was about to learn exactly what that process feels like, day by day, hour by hour, for 160 days. Day 10, I started experiencing the early stages of starvation. Hunger isn't just feeling empty. Real hunger starvation is a physiological process that affects every system in your body. The first few days, you feel hungry, your stomach cramps. You think about food constantly. Your body is expecting nutrition and complaining when it doesn't arrive. By day 7 to 10, that changes. The acute hunger fades. Your body realizes food isn't coming and shifts into conservation mode. Metabolism slows, energy levels drop. You become lethargic. Movement requires conscious effort. Your body is rationing its stored energy, preparing for long-term deprivation. I felt it happening, felt myself slowing down, moving less, thinking less clearly, my body shutting down non-essential functions to conserve calories. I slept more not because I wanted to, but because my body forced me. Sleep requires fewer calories than being awake. My body was putting me to sleep to conserve energy. I'd sleep 14 to 16 hours per day. Wake up for a few hours, drink water, sit in the sun or shade depending on temperature. Then sleep again. The platform became my entire world. 10 feet by 15 feet, 150 square feet. I knew every inch of it, every rivet, every weld, every small imperfection in the metal mesh. I'd trace patterns with my fingers. Count the holes in the mesh, exactly 3,420 holes in the platform floor. I'd counted them multiple times to pass the time. Time became strange. Without routine, without purpose, without stimulation, days blurred together. I marked days by scratching lines into the metal support beam with a screwdriver. 1 line per day. Watching the scratches accumulate. Physical proof that time was passing even when it didn't feel like it. Day 15, I realized I was losing weight rapidly. My clothes were loose. My belt needed to be tightened. I could feel my ribs clearly through my skin. My face felt thinner when I touched it. My body was consuming itself. Fat stores first. I didn't have much fat to begin with. I'd been relatively fit before this. Maybe 15 to 18% body fat. That was disappearing fast. Day 18, I caught my first bird. A pigeon had landed on the platform, just resting. Didn't see me as a threat. I moved slowly, very slowly, got within arm's reach, then grabbed it. The pigeon fought, scratched, bit, but I held on. Desperate hunger gave me strength I didn't know I had. I killed it quickly, broke its neck, then had to figure out how to eat it. No fire, no way to cook it, had to eat it raw. I'd never done anything like this before. Never field-dressed an animal. Never eaten raw meat. But I was starving. Literally starving, and this was food. Protein, calories, life. I used my pocket knife, part of my toolkit hand worked by instinct, plucked feathers, cut away the skin, exposed the meat. The breast meat was maybe 100 grams total, maybe 150 calories. Not much, but after 18 days without food, it was everything. I ate it raw, tore small pieces off, chewed thoroughly. The taste was wrong, gamey, bloody. The texture was tough, but I got it down, forced myself to eat every bit of edible meat, even cracked the bones and sucked out the marrow. Every calorie counted. That pigeon probably extended my life by a week. 150 calories meant my body had to consume that much less of itself. Meant critical organs could function a few more days. Meant I survived to day 25 instead of dying on day 22. Day 20, a heat wave hit Los Angeles. Temperatures soared to 105 degrees Fahrenheit. On the ground, that's brutal. At 150 feet, on an exposed metal platform with no shade, it was potentially lethal. The metal platform became a griddle, too hot to touch with bare skin. I had to keep moving, keep shifting position to avoid staying in contact with the superheated metal too long. My clothes were soaked with sweat. I was dehydrating rapidly despite drinking my collected rainwater carefully. I created a shelter using my jacket and rope, tied the jacket to the safety rail to create a small triangle of shade, maybe 3 feet by 3 feet. I huddled under it, tried to minimize sun exposure, but even in shade, the temperature was over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. I was cooking slowly. I rationed my water carefully. Small sips, enough to prevent critical dehydration, but not enough to feel satisfied. Had maybe 2 liters left. If the heat wave lasted more than a few days, I'd run out. Would have to choose between dying of heat stroke quickly or dehydration slowly. The heat wave lasted 5 days. By day 25, I'd consumed all my water, was back to desperate dehydration, praying for rain again. Day 27, another storm. I'd never been so happy to see clouds in my life. The rain came down in sheets. I stood in it fully clothed, letting it soak me, cool me, rehydrate me. Drank until I was nauseous, collected water in every container I had, refilled my supplies. I survived, again by luck, by weather I couldn't control. My life depended on rain patterns and temperature fluctuations and forces completely beyond my influence. Day 31 month on the Billboard. I took stock of my situation. I'd lost massive weight, my clothes hung off me. I estimated I'd lost 25 to 30 pounds already. Was down to maybe 155 pounds from my starting 182. My body was consuming muscle now. Fat stores were gone. I could see the muscle wasting in my arms and legs, see the definition of every bone, see myself turning into a skeleton slowly. My skin was damaged, severe sunburn on every exposed part. My face, arms, neck burned, peeled, burned again. The sun at 150 feet was relentless. No protection, no sunscreen, just constant UV exposure. My skin was dark red, peeling, blistered, painful to touch. My mental state was deteriorating. I was having trouble concentrating, trouble remembering things, trouble processing thoughts logically. Starvation affects the brain, reduces cognitive function, makes thinking harder. I'd forget what I was doing mid-task, would stare at the horizon for hours without conscious thought, would lose time, look at my watch and realize hours had passed without awareness, and I was alone, completely alone, had been for 30 days. The isolation was crushing. I'd talk to myself constantly, full conversations, arguments, discussions, just to hear a human voice, just to use language, just to maintain some connection to humanity. Marcus, you need to collect water today. No, it's not going to rain. No clouds, still need to check. Maybe there's condensation. There's never condensation. It's too dry. Check anyway. Nothing else to do. Insane conversations with myself. But necessary. Without them, I'd go silent. And silence in isolation meant losing language, losing a fundamental part of human cognition. I had to keep talking, even to myself, or I'd lose the ability entirely. Day 35, I caught my second bird. Another pigeon. Same process. Kill it, pluck it, eat it raw. Another 150 calories to extend my life a few more days. I was becoming efficient at it, learning where to grab the bird to control it, how to kill it quickly to minimize struggle, how to pluck feathers efficiently, how to extract maximum nutrition from minimal meat. I was adapting, becoming a predator, a scavenger, whatever was necessary to survive. Day 40, the nightmare started. Starvation causes vivid dreams, hallucinations. Your brain, deprived of glucose, starts misfiring, creating false sensory input. I'd dream about food, detailed, realistic dreams. I'd be in a restaurant, see the menu, smell the food, taste it, then wake up on the platform, the taste fading, the hunger crashing back. The hallucinations weren't just during sleep. During the day, I'd see things, movement at the edge of my vision, shadows that weren't there. Sometimes I'd see people on the platform with me, would turn to talk to them and realize nobody was there. Just my brain creating company because the isolation was too much. Day 45, I watched someone else on another billboard. I could see other billboards from my position. There were several visible in the distance. Most were empty. But on day 45, I saw movement on one about a half-mile away. Someone was up there, another survivor, someone who'd made the same choice. I had climb up and stay there. I tried to signal them, waved my arms, used my LED headlamp to flash signals. No response. They were too far away, or couldn't see me, or chose to ignore me. Over the following days, I watched them, watched their routine. They moved around their platform, seemed to be surviving. But on day 52, they were gone. Just disappeared. I don't know if they climbed down, jumped, fell, or died. They were there and then they weren't. I was alone again, the only person visible in my entire field of view. The only human on a billboard in downtown LA. Day 50, I realized I was dying. Not immediately, not urgently, but inevitably. I'd lost over 40 pounds, was down to maybe 142 pounds. Muscle mass was severely depleted. I could barely stand without feeling dizzy. Could barely walk the 10 feet across my platform without needing to rest. My body was shutting down. Organs were starting to fail. This was terminal starvation. I had weeks, maybe A month if I was lucky. Then my heart or kidneys or liver would fail and I'd die. I thought about jumping, about ending it quickly instead of slowly. The fall would take maybe 3 seconds, then it would be over. No more hunger, no more pain, no more isolation, just peace. I stood at the edge of the platform many times, looked down at the ground 150 feet below. Infected were still down there. They'd gather under my billboard regularly, looking up, sensing prey above them even if they couldn't reach me. They'd be waiting if I jumped. Would tear apart my corpse, but I'd be dead before I hit the ground. Terminal velocity from 150 feet. I'd black out from the acceleration. Wouldn't feel the impact. Wouldn't feel them tearing me apart. It would be quick, merciful compared to starving to death over the next 30 days. But I couldn't do it. Some survival instinct was too strong. Even knowing I was dying, even wanting the pain to stop, I couldn't make myself jump. Couldn't make myself take that final step off the platform. Couldn't make myself fall. Day 62, months on the billboard, I caught my third and final bird. A pigeon landed on the platform. I caught it, killed it, ate it. This time I noticed the effort required was much greater. My reflexes were slower, my grip weaker. I almost lost the bird because I couldn't hold on tight enough. My body was too wasted, muscles too depleted. I could barely generate the strength needed to kill a small bird. This would probably be the last one. I was too weak now, too slow. Birds landed occasionally, but I couldn't catch them anymore. Couldn't move fast enough. Couldn't grip hard enough. My hunting days were over. I'd eaten 3 birds in 60 days. Maybe 450 calories total, nothing. A drop in the ocean. I'd burned probably 90,000 calories in that time just staying alive. My body had consumed 45 to 50 pounds of itself. I was a skeleton wrapped in skin, every bone visible, every joint prominent. My face was gaunt, eyes sunken, cheeks hollow. I looked like a concentration camp victim, like photographs of famine, like death walking. And I felt it. Felt myself dying. Felt the weakness spreading. Felt critical systems beginning to fail. Day 65. I started seeing things clearly. Hallucinations had progressed from occasional to constant. I'd see people on the platform, would have conversations with them, would only realize hours later that I'd been alone the whole time, talking to myself, talking to hallucinations. I'd see my family, my mother, my sister. They'd sit with me, talk to me, comfort me, then fade away, back to nothing, back to the empty platform. I'd see food, tables full of food, smell it, reach for it, touch nothing but air. My brain was so desperate for calories, it was creating food hallucinations, detailed, realistic, cruel hallucinations that made the hunger worse when they faded. Day 70, the wind nearly killed me. A storm rolled in, not rain wind, massive wind gusts, 60–70 mph at ground level. That's strong wind. At 150 feet on an exposed billboard, it was life-threatening. The platform swayed, the entire billboard structure flexed in the wind. I could feel it bending. Could hear the metal groaning, could feel the movement under my feet like being on a ship in heavy seas. I tied myself to the safety rail with my rope, clipped my climbing harness to multiple points. Couldn't risk being blown off. The wind was strong enough to push me, to blow me across the platform, to shove me against the rail. If I wasn't secured, I'd be blown right off the edge. The storm lasted 6 hours. 6 hours of howling wind, of the platform swaying, of me clinging to the safety rail, tied down, praying the billboard wouldn't collapse, praying the structure would hold, praying I'd survive. When it finally stopped, I was exhausted, shaking, terrified, and grateful. I'd survived another day, another storm, another near-death experience. Day 75, I realized I couldn't stand anymore, not because of injury, because of weakness. My leg muscles were so depleted I couldn't generate the force needed to stand from a sitting position. I'd try to stand and my legs would buckle. I'd collapse back down. Had to pull myself up using the safety rail. Use my arms because my legs no longer worked properly. I was entering the terminal phase of starvation, the phase where you lose the ability to move, where you become bedridden, where you just lie there and wait to die because your body can't function anymore. Day 80, infected started trying to climb the billboard. I don't know what changed. Maybe they'd learned, maybe they'd evolved. Maybe they were just getting more desperate, but they started trying to climb the support structure, trying to reach me. They couldn't do it. Didn't have the coordination, didn't have the motor control, would get maybe 10 to 15 feet up the ladder then fall. But they kept trying, day after day. Multiple attempts, I'd hear them climbing, hear them fall, hear the impact when they hit the ground. And I realized, if they learned, if they figured it out, if one of them made it to the top, I was dead. I was too weak to fight, too weak to push them off. too weak to defend myself. One infected reaching the platform meant my death. I watched them try, watched them fail, prayed they'd never succeed. Day 93 months on the Billboard, I had a complete psychological breakdown. I woke up screaming, don't remember why, don't remember the dream or the trigger, just woke up screaming, couldn't stop. Screamed until my voice gave out, until my throat was raw and bleeding, until I could only make rasping sounds. Then I cried, sobbed, pounded on the metal platform with my fists until they bled. Screamed silently, mouth open, no sound coming out, just air and pain. I can't do this anymore. I can't. I'm dying. I'm dying alone on this fucking platform, and nobody knows and nobody cares, and this is it. This is how I die. Starving to death on a billboard, watching the world end below me. This is my life. This is my fucking death. Nobody heard me. Nobody responded. Nobody cared. I was alone. Completely alone. Dying alone. And nothing mattered anymore. I lay on the platform for 2 days after that. Didn't move. Didn't drink water. Didn't try to survive. Just lay there. Waiting to die. Hoping to die. Wanting it to end. But I didn't die. My body kept functioning, kept surviving, kept forcing me to continue even when I'd given up. On day 92, I drank water again. Not because I wanted to live, but because thirst is biological, automatic. Your body forces you to drink when dehydrated. I drank, and kept surviving, against my will. Day 100, I marked 3 months plus on my tally marks. 100 lines scratched into the metal support beam. 100 days of hell. 100 days of slow death. 100 days of isolation and starvation and exposure and suffering. I weighed maybe 120 pounds now. Down from 182, I'd lost 62 pounds. Over a third of my body weight. I was skeletal. Bones wrapped in skin. No muscle, no fat. Nothing left to consume. My body was eating itself, consuming organs now. Consuming tissue it needed to survive. I was in the final stages. The end stages. Death was coming. Soon. Day 105. I saw a helicopter, military helicopter, flying search patterns over the city. Looking for survivors maybe, or just surveying. I waved. Used my LED headlamp to signal. Flashed SOS repeatedly. The international distress signal. They saw me. I know they saw me. The helicopter changed course. Flew closer. Circled my billboard. I could see people inside. See them looking at me. Then they flew away. I don't know why. Maybe they assessed the situation and decided it was too dangerous. Maybe they didn't have the equipment to rescue me. Maybe they decided I wasn't worth the risk. Maybe they thought I was already dead. I don't know, but they left. Flew away. Disappeared. And I was alone again. Day 110. I stopped making sense when I talked to myself. My speech had degraded. Words would come out wrong. Sentences wouldn't complete. I'd start talking about water and end up talking about nothing. Just word salad. Just sounds. Need the water because the platform and the birds can't fly anymore when the sun is metal is hot and the rain doesn't. I can't remember what I was. My brain was failing. Starvation damages cognitive function. I was losing the ability to think clearly, to process language, to remember, to understand. I was becoming mentally incompetent, not crazy, just broken, brain damaged from malnutrition. Day 124 months on the billboard, I was dying. Actively dying. Could feel it. My heart rate was irregular. My breathing was labored. My kidneys weren't working properly. My urine was dark, bloody, wrong. My liver was failing. My organs were shutting down. I had days, maybe a week. Then I'd die right here. On this platform, at 150 feet. My body would rot here. Be eaten by birds. Eventually, be bones. A skeleton on a billboard. A monument to failed survival. Day 125. Lightning struck the billboard. A massive thunderstorm rolled in. The kind that turns day into night. The kind with thunder so loud you feel it in your chest. And lightning. Constant lightning. Illuminating the sky. Striking the city. Striking tall structures. I was on the tallest structure in the immediate area. A metal structure. Perfect conductor. Perfect lightning rod. The strike hit the top of the billboard. The metal frame. The charge ran through the structure. Through the platform. I felt it. Felt the shock. Felt the electricity. Not a direct hit that would have killed me instantly, but close enough. The charge was distributed through the metal structure. I felt a tingling, felt my muscles seize, felt pain. Then it was over. The lightning had passed. The charge had grounded. I was alive, somehow, against all odds, against physics. I'd been struck by lightning and survived. I could smell burning. My clothes were singed. My hair was standing on end. My skin tingled, but I was alive. That storm lasted for hours. Multiple lightning strikes hit nearby. Each one made me flinch, made me pray it wouldn't hit again, made me realize how vulnerable I was, how exposed, how one wrong strike would end me instantly. Day 130, I couldn't move at all anymore. I could shift positions slightly, could roll over, could lift my arms, but I couldn't stand, couldn't walk, couldn't do anything requiring real muscle strength. My muscles were gone, consumed. My body had eaten everything it could to stay alive. Now there was nothing left. I was at the absolute minimum. Any more consumption and critical systems would fail. I was bedridden, on a metal platform, at 150 feet, waiting to die. Day 135, another helicopter came. This time they attempted rescue. A National Guard helicopter. They saw me, saw my signals, decided to try extraction. They hovered near the platform, couldn't land, no landing space. But they lowered a rescue basket, professional rescue operation. The basket came down, got within 20 feet of the platform. I could see it, could reach it if I could just move. If I could just stand and walk 10 feet to the edge. If I could just climb into the basket, but I couldn't. I couldn't stand, couldn't walk, couldn't move. I was too weak, too far gone, too destroyed by starvation. I tried, God, I tried, pulled myself toward the edge using my arms, dragging my useless legs, moving inches at a time. But I didn't have the strength, couldn't make it, couldn't reach the basket. The helicopter couldn't wait, couldn't hover indefinitely. They pulled the basket up, tried again from a different angle. No better. I still couldn't reach it. After 20 minutes, they gave up, flew away, left me there. The ultimate irony. Rescue came and I was too weak to accept it. Too far gone to save myself even when help was right there. Day 140, I accepted death. Fully, completely. I was going to die here soon. No rescue, no escape, no miracle, just death. And I was okay with it. Peace had come. I'd fought for 140 days. I'd survived against impossible odds. I'd endured starvation, dehydration, exposure, isolation, heat, cold, storms, lightning. I'd pushed my body beyond its limits. And now it was ending. That was okay. I'd done enough. I'd survived longer than anyone could have expected. Now I could rest. Day 145, rain fell. I didn't drink it, didn't collect it, just let it soak me, let it wash over me. Didn't have the energy to move anymore, didn't have the will, but some autonomic reflex kicked in. My mouth opened, rain fell directly in. I swallowed reflexively. My body kept surviving even when my mind had given up. Day 150, I saw the sunrise, watched it fully, watched the sunrise over Los Angeles, watched light spread across the city, watched the sky turn from black to purple to orange to blue, beautiful, perfect. My last sunrise probably. I'd always liked sunrises. Liked working early morning shifts to see them. Liked being high up to get the full view. Now I got to see one more. Maybe the last thing I'd ever see. And it was beautiful. Day 155. Voices. I heard voices. Not hallucinations this time. Real voices. Below me, human voices. I looked down, saw people on the ground. Survivors. A group of them. Maybe 10. Armed. Organized. Clearing infected. Securing the area. I tried to call out. No voice left. Throat too damaged. Tried to wave. Arms too weak. One of them looked up, saw me, pointed. Others looked. They'd found me. After 155 days they'd found me. Day 160 the day rescue actually came. They brought equipment, brought a truck with an aerial platform. A cherry picker could reach 150 feet, could reach me. I watched them set it up. Watched the platform extend upward. Watched it rise toward me. Rescue. Real rescue. After 160 days, the platform reached my level. A rescue worker stepped onto my billboard platform, approached me. I was lying on the metal mesh, couldn't move, could barely respond. Jesus Christ, he said, how long have you been up here? I tried to speak, couldn't, throat wouldn't work. Pointed at my tally marks, 160 lines, 160 days. You've been on this billboard for 160 days. I nodded. Weakly, how are you alive? How there's no food up here? No how. I pointed at my mouth. Made eating motion, pointed at birds. He understood. You caught birds. Jesus. Anything else? I shook my head. You've been starving for 160 days. Nodded again. We need to get you down. Can you move? Tried to shake my head. No energy even for that. Okay, we'll carry you. You're going to make it. You survived this long, you're going to make it. They lifted me. I weighed 109 pounds, down from 182. I'd lost 73 pounds, 40% of my body weight. My BMI was probably 14, severely malnourished, critically underweight, the edge of survival. They lowered me down. For the first time in 160 days, I touched the ground, felt solid earth under me, felt gravity differently, felt like I was going to throw up from the change in sensation. They took me to a survivor settlement, medical treatment, IV fluids. Very careful refeeding you, can't just give food to someone who's starved for 160 days. Refeeding syndrome can kill you. Your body can't process sudden nutrition. They had to introduce calories gradually, very gradually. Over weeks, I spent 2 months in medical care, recovering or trying to, but the damage was permanent. My digestive system never fully recovered, can't process many foods, get sick easily, have chronic malnutrition even with adequate food. My muscles never fully rebuilt, lost too much tissue, permanent muscle wasting, permanent weakness. My cognitive function never fully returned, have memory problems, processing problems, language difficulties. The starvation damaged my brain permanently, and psychologically, I'm destroyed. Have severe PTSD, can't be in enclosed spaces, developed claustrophobia after being confined to 150 square feet for 160 days. Can't be at height, developed acrophobia. Ironically, after spending 160 days at 150 feet, can't handle isolation, can't handle being alone. The 160 days broke something fundamental in my mind, but I survived. I survived 160 days on a billboard platform during the zombie apocalypse. I survived starvation that should have killed me in 40 days. I survived exposure that should have killed me in days. I survived isolation that should have driven me insane. I survived against every odd, every expectation, every reasonable prediction. I'm alive, damaged, broken but alive. And that has to count for something. I'm writing this 6 months after rescue. I'm in a survivor settlement. I weigh 135 pounds, still underweight, but improving. I can walk now, with difficulty, can function, barely, can exist. I don't go near heights anymore. Can't even climb a ladder without panic attacks. The irony is crushing. I spent 9 years working at height, loved it, was comfortable with it. Now I can't be more than 10 feet off the ground without terror. I don't talk about the billboard much. People don't understand, can't understand. How do you explain 160 days of slow starvation, 160 days of isolation, 160 days of watching yourself die while the world ended below you? They call me the billboard man in the settlement, the guy who survived 160 days at 150 feet, the guy who beat starvation, the guy who shouldn't be alive. They treat me like I'm special, like I'm inspiring, like my survival means something. But I don't feel special. I feel broken. I feel like I died on that billboard and what came down was just a corpse that doesn't know it's dead yet. I survived the body, but the person I was, Marcus Webb, the billboard technician who loved heights and solitude, he died up there. Day 90 maybe, day 100, somewhere in the endless starvation and isolation, he stopped existing. And what's left is just survival, just biological persistence, just meat that refuses to stop functioning. I survived 160 days on a billboard during the zombie apocalypse. I survived starvation, exposure, isolation, storms, lightning, heat, cold, and my own desire to die. I survived rescue attempts that failed and rescue that succeeded. I survived when I shouldn't have, when biology said I should be dead, when physics said I should have fallen, when psychology said I should have gone insane. I survived. And I don't know if that's winning or just losing more slowly. The billboard is still there, still standing, still advertising nothing to nobody. 150 feet tall, 150 square feet of platform. The place where I spent 160 days dying slowly while the world died quickly. Sometimes I dream about climbing back up, about returning to that platform, about the simplicity of survival there. No decisions, no society, no expectations, just survive or die, just rain or no rain. Just another day at 150 feet, but I can't climb anymore. Too weak, too afraid, too broken. The billboard man can't return to his billboard. That chapter is closed. That survival is over. Now I survive differently. On the ground, among people, in a society rebuilding itself. And maybe that's harder than surviving on the billboard. Maybe living is harder than just not dying. I survived 160 days. Now I have to figure out how to live, how to be human again, how to be more than just a survivor. And I don't know if the person who survived the billboard can learn to be a person again. But I'm trying. That has to count for something, just like surviving counted for something, even when I don't know what. I'm Marcus Webb. I was a billboard maintenance technician. I survived 160 days at 150 feet during the zombie apocalypse. I lost 73 pounds, lost my strength, lost my mind, lost myself. But I survived, and I'm still here, still trying, still existing, in my own broken way. The Billboard man, forever marked by 160 days of hell, forever changed by starvation and isolation and exposure, forever haunted by the platform, the height, the hunger, the endless days waiting to die, but still here, still alive, still surviving. One more day, then another, then another. That's all I can do. That's all any of us can do. Survive one more day, and hope it gets easier. Hope it means something. Hope the suffering had a point. I survived 160 days. Now I'm trying to survive the rest of my life. And I don't know which is harder. Stay grounded, stay fed, stay together. And if you ever see a billboard, remember someone might have survived up there. Someone might have spent months at 150 feet, slowly starving, watching the world end. Someone might have left part of themselves up there forever. That someone was me, the Billboard man. And I'm still here. Somehow, against all odds, still here. Thanks for listening.